All right, so as they're discussing that, Pike says they need to go to sickbay. In sickbay, we meet Dr. Mbenga, who Pike and he had toured each other's home regions together, and Nurse Chapel, who's there as part of a civilian exchange program. Within the first 5 minutes of both of these characters, I believe we have more characterization out of them than they did in the entire original run of the original series altogether.
Yeah. I'm liking those two so far. Both of them.
A lot of fun so far here. Nurse Chapel explains that she's going to mess with their genomes to make them superficially resemble. I'm calling them the Kylians in my notes. I don't know if that's the proper term. Leanne asks if it's safe, and Chapel jokes it almost every time. So Spock's mixed ancestry here, being part Vulcan, part human, come up, and that Chapel may have some issues with it because it's just such a hard thing to try to adapt. You're not just dealing with one, you're dealing with two at the same time. So she gives them all a shot, which, kind of makes it's supposed to be very painful, and it makes them look like the people on the planet Kylie. Leanne asks about the sedative and says she doesn't want it. Pike kind of comes over and has a talk with her, and she's like, is this an order? And he's like, no. So she gets the shot anyways, with no sedative. So now everybody heads down to the transporter room where Chief Kyle, a man who we have seen in the original series, but he was much more British in that show than he is now. And he's also wearing like a third variation of the uniform that we have seen here.
Oh, actually, I don't know if it was the speech he already gave or one that's coming, but there's one time where he's talking on the intercom and they kind of pan through multiple spaces on the ship. It seems like there is a lot of different uniform variations out there.
Yeah, because I've even seen like a clip of Uhura with a big cowl neck like the old dresses had too. We haven't even seen like standard ones like dress uniforms or anything yet. So we get down to the transporter room. Chief Kyle informs our genetically altered crew that their clothing, universal translators, and tricorders will be added by the transporter buffers as they're being sent down. And Pike cracks what is joke number 5 by my count at this point. Okay, so they beam down to an alley. Spock is a little bit unhappy to be wearing short pants, and I am a person who does believe that grown men shouldn't wear short pants, so I get where he's coming from. They kind of start picking up some details about the world that they're on, descending factions, reports of a deadly new weapon for use against domestic targets. Pike and Spock begin to talk about America's second Civil War.
Yeah, this is where I kind of had, it's not so apparent here, but later on in the episode when he talks about several civil unrests in a row, the timeline is a little weird.
Yeah. But Star Trek since The Next Generation has done this, where they hint to the atomic horrors at the end of the 21st century. Even the original series did it with the eugenics wars and World War III.
I guess it's just a problem for me because some of the video they show from those have been videos from recent times.
Yeah, very pointedly.
So seeing that, then him talking about the second Civil War and then the eugenics stuff that supposedly happened in the 90s, I'm just like, man, this timeline really is not making sense to me.
Oh, okay. So you didn't watch Picard. There are several references in that series to how records from like the 1990s to the 2050s or the early 2100s are really jumbled and not very reliable. So they were already setting up Khan's time about the eugenics wars in the 90s.
Oh, wow. No, the issue for me is not necessarily the words that come through for all this stuff. It's weird seeing that real footage and he's talking about something different in the show, sort of.
Well, he may not be talking about something different.
That's fair.
He may just be talking about something that's the end result of it. Because, I don't know. Well, you guys had that Unite the Right rally out there in 2017 or 2016, whenever that was.
Well, the video he shows in the later on is from January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th.
So seeing that while he's talking about it as a second Civil War, and then he jumps immediately, and then it was called the Eugenics War.
And then World War III.
Yeah, and then just World War III. Jumping ahead of ourselves, though.
Yeah, we are. But no, I get where you're coming from with that. But also, it's not like the Civil War just broke out in 1861 with no lead in ahead of it. There were years going into that.
Well, I mean, some would say the country is still in recovery from that.
Yeah, I think you can see that in the South. But, we'll save our expert political theories for another time.
That's for a different podcast. The politics of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Exactly.